For a few years in the 1970s, the Mr. Asia syndicate made millions.
Heroin creates its own market. It acts like a form of plague.
Until jealousy, betrayal and murder brought it all crashing down.
Clark would have threatened him. Go and kill him. If you don't, I'm going to kill you and your wife and your son.
This is Mr. Asia, A Forgotten History. All episodes now available on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Australian Correspondent Adam Peacock is with us. How's your week been, mate?
Bit of a quiet one ahead of Champions League returning next week because the clocks go back over here this weekend. So, it's not going to be a pretty alarm clock, so I need all the easy sleep I can get before the big stuff. The quarterfinals over there kick off, so it should be great.
Looking forward to that. All right, some Australian sporting matters to discuss today. Let's start with the Super Rugby table. All four Australian teams in the top six right now. The Reds got beaten in the rain last night by the Chiefs, but they're still in the top six. Do you think the removal of the Rebels, the distribution of talent across four teams and not five has been a big part of this?
Yeah, it's been a factor. I think a couple of maybe also players not going, given what's on here in the next couple of years, namely with the Lions tour here, and then maybe the World Cup might be a bit out of stretch for 2027, but it's maybe in the back of some players' minds that ordinarily those players might have gone and taken overseas opportunities, but maybe hung around just to stay in front of front of mind for selectors and things. So, yeah, a few factors, and the fact, I think, where they're at the moment, the draw's been kind to a couple of our teams, namely the Waratahs, who didn't even have to go to the airport. It felt like for the first month of the season that they got Moana Pacifica today, obviously. But yeah, as soon as you sent me that message yesterday, mate, let's talk about the Aussie team's doing really well in Super Rugby. I knew it was going to happen last night, didn't it? So yeah, thanks for that.
Look, I didn't mean to jinx anything, and to be fair, I watched that game and the Reds were in it till quite near the end. So look, it's I think from our point of view over here, we've always wanted a competition that's got jeopardy week to week, game to game, and that's what we're getting. Yeah,
and I mean, for how long did it go, Piney, when I think there was this ridiculous streak where not one Super Rugby side from over here beat one Super Rugby side from over there.
Yeah.
It was insane. I think with the distribution of talent not as stretched, because let's face it, we don't have bottomless pit over here. That's probably the overriding factor, just.
All right, long mate, continue. Let's go to Rugby League, where the State of Origin eligibility rules have been in the news this week. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, this is a really odd story that, not an odd story, but something that it looks like common sense. You just change, but it received a bit of pushback over here that, okay, a Tier 1 nation in rugby league is Australia, England and New Zealand. So basically they say if you declare your allegiance to England, like Victor Radley has done, or New Zealand internationally, you can't play State of Origin no matter where you were born. No matter if you're eligible to play State of Origin for New South Wales or Queensland, playing your first senior footy, I think, over the age as a teenager in those states, you can't play. But it seems a bit odd because you can do it if you're from Tonga or Samoa. Now, last time I checked, those two sides are rapidly closing the gap between New Zealand, England and Australia.
They are.
In international footy. So what about we kind of repurpose these rules and not say open slather, if you were born in New Zealand, then you come across here and play NRL, you're all of a sudden eligible to play New South Wales. No, it's those players who perhaps were born over here but elect to represent New Zealand. Open it up. There's no harm. So, yeah, I think they need a tweak because Michael Chalmers, my colleague on the podcast over here for Triple M, made the point that 20 years ago, not one New South Wales player was eligible for another nation. Now, 7 are. So, yeah, something needs to change. I think they've got to rethink it because the demographic of player and where they're coming from has definitely changed with the rise of the where these players, like the Polynesian, Melanesian population in Sydney is massive. And, yeah, they're being born and bred here, but then elect to play for Samoa or Tonga to make their family proud, which is unreal. And you want to strengthen that international game, but don't dilute State of Origin just because you've got an archaic rule.
Yep, no, very well said, very well said. Let's go to football. Sam Kerr back with the Matildas. She's been out with her ACL injury for quite some time, and of course her court case has gone on during that period. How has her reintegration into the Matildas been received?
Yeah, great. By all accounts, the players have loved having her back. The public as well. She was up on the big screen a couple of times early in this game against Korea last night, and the crowd went nuts. So, yeah, any consternation about the fact that what she's been through, and obviously to rehash it quickly, she was in court for allegedly abusing a police officer in London, feels like 2 years ago now, but she was acquitted of those charges. She made her peace with Football Australia, and they all got on the same page and welcomed her back into camp. She's not ready yet. She's just rehabbing and continuing her rehabilitation from an ACL inside the camp. She's nearly ready, but no, by all accounts, the buzz around the camp was higher with having Sam there, as it would be, because she's a positive person with her teammates, and yeah, they've loved having her back, apparently.
Absolute superstar. I bet they are. And just to finish, a couple of AFL fans brought their guns to a game between Carlton and Collingwood. I shouldn't laugh. How did they even get them in?
I have chuckled at some of the headlines in Melbourne, which is basically something happens in AFL like that, and it's a societal problem. If something happened like that in A-League, you and I know, Piney, that it would be cancelled sport.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a little two-faced how it's come across, but it's a serious matter, obviously. We're not having a go at the fact that it is an absolute serious matter. These two guys are apparently out on bail. They haven't been on the right side of the law all their life, put it that way. And they got in. Apparently they got these screeners that AI-based or something, and they got in, they hit it, and they were carrying on like idiots in the ground, so they ended up getting chucked out. And when they got chucked out, they kind of got searched and found 2 loaded guns. So pretty insane. That by all accounts, they weren't going to do anything. They just, they're tough guys. They thought they'd, walk the streets with a loaded gun, which I don't know how you get to that stage in life, but anyway, so be it. But yeah, pretty serious. So all the security protocols have been looked at the MCG.
All right. Well, thankfully nobody was hurt in the whole thing. Yeah, maybe just a tale of increased security, and I don't know. Maybe human eyes are better than AI eyes after all. I don't know.
Amazing.
We'll leave that for. Who would have thought? We'll leave that for another day. Great to chat as always, mate. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch up next Saturday.
Thanks, Bonnie. Have a good one.
You have a good one too, mate. Adam Peacock, our regular Australian correspondent, around this time every Saturday afternoon.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.